Hope you're having a good day. This is my tamarind tree. The only time I've ever had it in a video is when I got it about 2.5 years ago. I have this self-imposed rule that I always just, when I used to buy prebonsai, I'd get all excited, want to come home, repot it right away and everything. And I realized some of these are actually, just been freshly repotted at the nursery when they, when they get them in or how it is that they had them. And that probably isn't such a good idea to just rush them home and do that. So I didn't do anything with it that first year. And then, not this past fall, but the fall before, the hurricane came through, got completely defoliated. It was one of my last trees to get, to like recover from it and actually start growing again and everything, like this past spring again, if you will. And then this year, it took a little while to come out too. It, sat bare. They do lose their, leaves in the winter around here. A lot of people think that all tropical trees keep them, in the tropics, they keep their leaves all winter. It did lose all of its leaves, and it just kind of came out and doesn't really look, I don't know how else to say it other than all that great. And since, it has been 1.5 years and everything, I figure it's time to go ahead and just swap the soil out. There's some weeds in here. I mean, I'll show you guys once I set into my repotting mode some of this. I would usually pull the weeds out, but since I'm getting ready to repot it, I'll go ahead and just show you that when I repot it. But the dirt is rather, I just say black, and I don't know, it just seems like it's unhappy, and hopefully I can make it happy by putting in some better soil. I am going to go ahead and just prune it first. See how well you guys might be able to see that with all the foliage covering it. Maybe a little bit better on this side. Right at this point right here, right at that point right there, there's a huge bulge where you can see that they, either Weigert's or some other nursery chopped it here at some point. It shot up this way and then also got like 3 other branches coming off of it. I don't want, this one is perfectly straight and it's still going away from the stump. I'd like to start, getting it back over that way. I do want some movement in the tree, but I do want it, to let it balance itself out. So that's one that I'll take out there. And then I kind of need to decide between this one with the longer branch on it or this one, which, this one's kind of balancing it out. This one is too. And I think I'll go ahead and take the longer one. Alright, just kind of gave you guys a little bit of a better look now. See, all those branches are coming out of that bulge there. And take all the other ones off and maybe even hit this spot with the knob cutter a little bit. Part of the reason I haven't been wanting to do that so far is I could kind of tell by the time I did that, I'm not going to have very much foliage left at all. I want to leave a leader, so I'm going to take this one off too. And then there's nothing growing on this side of the tree except for this little tiny branch here, which would be a bar branch for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and take that one out too. Probably a little more than I would have done if I had just decided to prune it. But since I'm also trying to repot it today, that should allow it to need a lot less water over the next few weeks too. And just bring this back in length just a little bit. Maybe actually even to there. Still got that bulge there. I'd like to hit it with the knob cutters just a little. Making sure not to get into this specific branch too much. And hopefully that branch does recover and I can heal that wound. I have thought, at the very least I could maybe cut it down to there and let it grow new leaders out of those small branches, but I'd rather leave that if I could. You guys might get tired of hearing about my new camera, but this is my first repot with the new camera. I probably won't publish this till I see this thing recover a little bit. This is my first repot with it. I can shoot now in 4K without having to crop so much. It does give me a little bit of a better view. It's one of the reasons why, I mean, I left the weeds in. The weeds, you know, I pull the weeds all the time. I left the weeds in today just because I knew I was going to repot it in a minute. But you can see how dark the soil is. And usually, usually when I get these things from Weigert's, the soil's a little bit on the browner side than the dark side. And then even here in the pot, you can see it's not really drinking that much. It's still kind of wet in there. It's like 3 in the afternoon. And I just watered these this morning at like 8. And it's, it's like 80, maybe 85 degrees outside. It should be, kind of getting dried. But it just, I don't know, it seems super dense. I guess we'll just have to get up here and see what we see. We'll show, one of the reasons I got it is it's got this hole in the trunk down here. You can see my pinky coming through there. Sometimes I see that stuff at the nursery and I think it looks, unique, and then I kind of realize that it's not really very traditional, but you guys probably know by now I don't really do care about traditional stuff all that much. Get that guy out of the way. Being unfamiliar with the species, I would think a tree that, was, obviously bought this way, but here for like 2.5 years, growing in the tropics, be a little more root bound and have a lot more, the pot a lot more full of roots than it is. Hopefully this is the type of tree to respond well to being in a better soil mix. Certainly doesn't have what I would deem a super healthy root system right now. And it's got one. I don't see a lot of, usually on my, like I find on my ficus trees, even by now I'd have a bunch of white roots just even from the damage of me working. There really isn't much to it at all. Alright, and with my unfamiliarity with the species, I had no plans to go rinse it off. But I tell you what, that dirt sure was kind of dank. Almost smelled a little bit. Didn't really smell of rot, but just really was dank. So I rinsed this off too. Just gonna get it in the same pot with some better soil. I'll just hang on to this video for a bit. Hope for the best. Alright, and that repotting was from mid-March. And here it is, it's the first week of May. So it's been about 2 months. It did lose all the leaves that it had on it at the time. Had me frightened for a bit, but it finally did bud back out. This whole branch here is new. I was glad that this branch decided to come back to life, at least have something lower on the trunk. This one just now has a bud coming out on it. And then just following the trunk line up here, got the apex. Like I said, I was worried for a second, but looking good again. Hopefully I've got the patience to make something of it one day.